There are a couple of different ways that you can update your applications that you've deployed using AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Let's first have a look at how we can update an application that's running on environments with only one instance. So I'll head into my single instance app, and as you can see I've got two environments here, a primary and a secondary. Both of these only have one EC2 instance sitting behind them. So let's check that our application's actually running. I'll go into my primary and open up the application's URL, which loads my TechSnip's demo website. I'll close that and head back to my application. So my application is running out of that primary environment, and while it's doing that, we can go over to our secondary environment and update that, and go to Upload and Deploy. We'll choose the new version of our application, and we'll choose the single version of version 1.0.3, and I'll stick with the version label that it's picked out. This just being what the name of my zip file was, but it's perfect for my needs. So I'll go ahead and deploy this new version, and this will work away for a while, and we'll resume the video when my health status is back to green. And we're back with an updated secondary environment, and if we go back to my application, we can see I've got my primary and secondary environments, and we can see the two different running versions. So my primary's on 1.0.1, and my secondaries on 1.0.3. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my web app again so that we can watch what happens when we transition over to our secondary environment. So with my web app up side by side with my AWS console, we can see that my live single app is running. And if I refresh that, it still loads. So let's see how we can transition over to this new version of our application. And what I'm going to do is I'll continuously refresh the right-hand window until we see the updated version appear. So in order to transition, go to Actions and choose Swap Environment URLs. It's important to note here that I've specified a URL for my primary instance, and that is what I'm going to be using to access the latest version of my application. So I'll swap URLs and say which direction I want this to occur in. So I want my secondary environment to take over the URL from my primary one. Go ahead and click swap. We'll head over here and start refreshing our application. What we're expecting to see is the name, TechSnip's demo, to update to reflect that it's been updated. This change could take a minute or two as it relies on some DNS changes. As you can see, our application is now back to the status of green on both environments, and the URL on our secondary environment has changed to live single instance. And one more time, there we go. So the title's updated, showing us that our single instance has been updated. So let's have a look at how we can update an instance with only one environment. We'll do that by having a look at my TechSnip's web demo. So this environment is actually using multiple instances behind the scenes. If we have a look at the configuration, it's set to a capacity of 2 to 4 instances. We can go ahead and check that our instance is running, which it is. We can see the name's currently just TechSnip's demo. So let's go ahead and update this environment. We'll do that by heading back to the dashboard for this environment and choosing Upload and Deploy. So here we'll choose the scaling version of my 1.0.3 update. And again, I'll leave the version label as it is, but this time let's choose Deployment Preferences. Now the default deployment policy is all at once, meaning that all instances in this environment will go down, apply the update, and then come back online. But since we've got 2 instances running, we can do a rolling update, meaning that it will apply it to one, ensure that it's working because it does a health check, and then only after it's confirmed the first one has worked, it'll move on to the second one. If for whatever reason you do want to ignore health checks during your rolling updates, you can ignore them using this setting. And if you only want to update a percentage or a fixed amount of your instances at once, you can control that here. So for example, if you had 4 instances, you could set your percentage at 50% and update 2 of them. But I want to update all of them, so I'll go ahead and click Deploy. While that's happening, I'll go ahead and pull up my application in another window. So I've got my application up on the right hand side, and my Elastic Beanstalk console on the left. And let's scroll down so we can see what's happening with this upgrade. This could take another couple of minutes, and we'll cut back in after the first instance has been updated and ensure that our application is still responding. Doesn't look like this is going to give us individual statuses for each application, so I'm just going to do a couple of welfare checks on my application to make sure it's still responding. And it looks like it still is, so we're good to go for now, and we'll keep an eye on it for the next couple of minutes while the update continues. Alright, so environment was updated successfully, and we've been occasionally checking to ensure that our application was still responding, and it had been the whole time. And when we refresh, we can see that our scaling group has updated. We can see that because the name at the top's changed, and this was reflected within the version we've updated. So we've now successfully updated 2 versions of our application, one being a single instance app that was spread across a primary and a secondary environment, the other one being an auto-scaling group that we were able to do a rolling update through. Both of these allowed us to have a seamless update where our application was always available to our users, and that's one of the great benefits of using a service like Elastic Beanstalk. Thanks for watching.